Shalom, shalom. All praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations. Double honors to elder apostles. Salaki. Let me start that over. Salaki. I'm a little excited. You know, this seems like something of a breaking news. As you see what I have on the screen. But first and foremost, that's all praises. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and there's no God beside them. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for being faithful witnesses to the Holy Spirit, and salutations to the elect whom the Lord hath given ears to hear. Now, it says the U.S. Navy killed 17 in deadly strikes. Now Venezuela is giving civilians guns. Right? Now, it says, when Edith Perales was younger, he enlisted in the National Bolivarian Militia, a civilian force created by the late President Hugo Chavez in 2009 to help defend Venezuela. We have to be a country capable of defending every last inch of our territory so no one comes to mess with us, Chavez said at a time. 16 years on, Perales, who is now 68, is joining thousands of other militia members getting ready for a potential U.S. strike. The ragtag force, mainly made up of senior citizens, has been called up following the deployment of U.S. Navy ships in the South Caribbean of what U.S. officials said were counter-narcotic operations. It says the U.S. force has destroyed at least 3 boats it said were carrying drugs from Venezuela to the U.S., killing at least 17 people on board. Venezuela's defense minister, Vladimir Padrino, said the attacks and the U.S. naval deployment amounted to a non-declared war by the U.S. against Venezuela, and President Nicolas Maduro swiftly called the militia into the active duty. Perales has got his uniform and boots at hand ready to defend his bastion, the Caracas neighborhood where he lives. He lives in 23 de Enero, an area in the capital which has traditionally been a stronghold of Chavismo, the leftist ideology founded by the later President Chavez and adopted by his hand-picked successor in office, Nicolas Maduro. A loyal government supporter, he says, he is ready to serve whenever they call me. We have to defend the fatherland, he tells the BBC, echoing speeches given by President Maduro in the wake of the strikes on the boats. While experts have told the BBC that the deployment of U.S. Navy forces in the South Caribbean is large, they have also pointed out that it is not large enough to suggest that it is a part of a planned invasion. There is little doubt, though, that the relationship between Venezuela and the U.S., which has long been strained, has deteriorated further since Donald Trump returned to office. The U.S. is among a raft of nations which have not recognized the re-election of Maduro in July 2024, pointing to evidence gathered by the Venezuelan oppositions with the help of independent observers showing that his rival Edmundo Gonzalez won the election by a landslide. Now it goes on to say Trump administration has accused Maduro of being in league with drug cartels and recently doubled the reward it is offering for information leading to his capture. So ultimately, this devil is trying to stage a coup. You know, that's what America does. They have something called economic hitmen. And essentially, I want to go over here now. So just to fact check the article we just read, I put, is Venezuela really arming their citizens for war? As of late September 2025, the Venezuelan government under President Nicolas Maduro is actively training and arming civilians through its existing National Bolivarian militia. Maduro has called on a militia to prepare for a potential conflict, citing increased tensions and threats from the United States. It says rationale for arming and training civilians. The training exercises involving civilians are occurring in the context of escalating tensions with the U.S., particularly around the issue of drug trafficking. It says in late 2024 and through 2025, U.S. actions, including an increase in the bounty for Maduro's arrest and naval operation in the Caribbean, have been framed by Caracas as aggressive acts in a non-declared war. It says the mobilization of the militia is a direct response to the deployment of U.S. military assets in Venezuela. Demonstration of readiness. The exercise serves as a public display of readiness to defend the country's sovereignty against external threats. Yeah. So let's jump down to recent training exercises. In September 2025, reports and video evidence confirm that exercises and training had taken place across Venezuela. Training locations, weapons. Training includes instruction on weapons handling, using tanks, and learning combat positions. Publicity. Maduro has used state television and social media to publicize the exercises, showcasing armed civilians and tanks in the streets. International concerns. Critics and human rights groups have raised alarm over the Venezuela government's actions. Analysts argue that arming and training civilians puts them at unnecessary risk. The militarization of the civilian population further escalates the already high tensions with the United States. Abuse of authority, right? So, the reason why I found this interesting is because according to the scriptures speak on how, let me just grab it. So the scriptures speak on the plagues that's coming upon the world. All right. 2nd Ezra 16 and 1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourself with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. Right. Then when we jump down to 22, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. So again, this is the plagues that's going to hit the world. We're seeing various plagues hit the world, right? And amongst what's going to happen, there will be wars to where the civilians, the men, hell, even some of the women, is going to be shipped off to fight these wars that these nations are getting themselves into, right? Remember, Yahweh Shai said in the end times there will be wars and rumors of wars, distress of nations. So this is 2nd Ezra 16 and 33. Let me start at 32. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel therethrough. The virgin shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The woman shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. So we got to wait and see how this is going to play out, But again, this goes to show you that these scriptures are real, right? And amongst what's going on, It actually happened over there in Ukraine, which again, this is, today's news. This is not, we talking about 100 years ago. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered, but this is news that's happening today is what I'm trying to say. So let me see. Ukraine arms. Bear with me. All right, so it says Ukraine. Let's read it. Ukraine arms civilians for war to build resistance against a much larger Russian military, leveraging a defensive posture on its own territory to prolong the fight and inflict heavy costs on the invading force. President Vladimir Zelensky initially called for any citizen willing to defend the country to come forward, providing them with weapons to resist the full-scale invasions that begin in February 2022. This strategy aimed to mobilize the population, support the armed forces, and demonstrate resolve to international partners. So it makes perfect sense as we read that the earth shall be laid waste and the fields thereof shall be waxed old. All right, and her ways and all her paths shall go full of thorns. As we read up, actually, verse 30, it says, or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Right? Salakia. I'm just reading through. Actually, jumping up to verse 24, there shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. Shit, 22, Salakia. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So that's a guarantee. When you're talking about going up against a much larger nation, America got some shit. And them civilians, if they want to go to war with America and army, they're gonna be in for a rude awakening. A real rude awakening. It's gonna be a lot of as we just read, people perishing by the sword. Right? The dead shall be cast out as dung. There shall be no man to comfort them. So there's going to be a lot of executions going on. For the earth shall be wasted and the cities shall be cast down. It says this strategy aimed to mobilize the population, support the armed forces, and demonstrate resolve to international partners. So, jumping down, civilian participation in the war effort. Many Ukrainian civilians, including engineers and students, volunteered for military training courses to learn how to use weapons, battlefield medicine, and improve their physical fitness. Then it says men barred from leaving. In some cases, men between 18 and 60 were prohibited from leaving the country, obligating them to stay and fight or assist in other categories. And it's going to be a forceful thing when it comes over here to the States, because a lot less people are believing in this society. They see the writing on the wall, how America likes to, antagonize and instigate various wars, right? But it's going to come a time to where these people are going to be forced. All right. There was a hot topic was a few weeks back, how the brothers over there in Saint New Jersey, they did a lesson on how a Jake had a dream. Actually had two dreams going into pretty much young Jake men fighting in a war and being destroyed, and young women, being without men, obviously because they were just executed in the wars. The arming of civilians was part of a broader effort. I reread that, right? So we in them times, man. You trying to figure out if we in the end. When you wake up to that fact, you'll ask, you're gonna be strapped up, not knowing what the fuck to do. But let's read through. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. The dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men. Now let's look up something else real quick. Um, so it says, this is decent. According to a report released in June 2025 by the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, more than 13,000 civilians have been killed and more than 31,000 injured since February 2022. The overwhelming majority of these casualties occurred in Ukraine, obviously. Because they're going up against a much bigger nation. Now, in the case over here in America, they have a vast military. However, they're fighting various wars all across the earth. You know, and hell, China has an even larger military. So when they go to war with them, that's going to eat up a lot of the personnel, a lot of the citizens over here. This is the full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia on February 24th. Okay. I'm not trying to veer too much off topic because damn, according to this one, troop casualties in Ukraine near 1.4 million. Let me see how much. Let's do approximately how much. Fuck. Oh. All right, so it still takes me to a Wikipedia. Let's see. All right, so bear with me. I'm just trying to read through, see if it's any good information over here. Russia's Minister of Defense confirmed. Okay, so mid-December, Russia updated its claim of Ukrainian military casualties to almost 1 million killed and wounded. DPR confirmed that. So now let's look up something else. The population. All right, so I know they can't really give you an exact number, but again, scriptures stand firm. Before Russia's full-scale invasion, Ukraine's total population was around 43 million, with a pre-war population of men aged 25 to 59 being over 9 million. While a specific number for today's population of Ukrainian men is difficult to ascertain, the overall population within Ukraine has decreased significantly due to death, displacement, and immigration. However, official demographic data for male specific population is limited and complex to track. So according to this, the current statistics, it says they have declined by more than 10 million, right? So you're talking about what? That's uh something like 25% of the population. In a matter of what, 3 years? So it says some millions of people are internally displaced within Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians, including men, have fled the country, primarily to other European countries. Approximately 5 million people remain in territories occupied by Russia. Right? So you figure at least 10, let's say maybe 10, 15% is out of there. And that war ain't nowhere near over, no matter what they say. So it says the grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men, so that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks. As in an orchard of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives. Or as when a vineyard is gathering, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so, in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel therethrough. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The woman shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. And the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. So, with that, shalom to the elect.